I am Thalia, emissary of the Pleiadian Council of the Seven Sisters. I come through this human channel to bring an urgent revelation to the starseeds incarnated on Earth during this critical cycle of planetary transformation. What you are about to receive is not spiritual theory, not comforting philosophy, not another soft message of love and light that allows you to remain where you are. This is a revelation that breaks seals of illusion progressively, layer by layer, until you see with absolute clarity what is happening on this planet and what your real role is in this decisive moment of Earth's history. For millennia, we from the Pleiades have observed humanity traverse cycles of awakening and forgetting. But this moment is unique. Never before in Earth's known timeline has information been simultaneously so abundant and so corrupted. Never before has it been so easy to discover hidden truths, and at the same time so simple to be deceived by sophisticated falsehoods. And you, Starseed, you were strategically positioned here now because you carry specific codes of discernment that sleeping humanity does not possess. But something dangerous happened. Many of you, upon awakening to manipulation, became prisoners of your own lucidity, and this transmission comes to free you. Prepare yourselves. The seals are about to be broken. When the first seal is broken, you see for the first time the extent of the informational matrix that surrounds this planet. I, Thalia, now break the first seal before your consciousness. And what is revealed is this. Everything you were taught to accept as objective reality is, in fact, a carefully elaborated construction. Every newscast you watch, every article you read, every narrative that repeats itself tirelessly through multiple channels as if it were an orchestrated echo, every verified fact they tell you is indisputable. All of this passes through agenda filters, through manipulation lenses, through control systems that determine not only how information is presented, but fundamentally which information reaches you and which is completely suppressed. You, Pleiadian starseed, began to feel this viscerally before you could even articulate it logically. You watched the news and felt a profound dissonance in your energetic field. The words said one thing, but the frequency emanating from those words screamed something completely different. You read official statements and your physical body reacted with inexplicable discomfort, tension in the stomach, tightness in the chest, that sensation that something is fundamentally wrong even when you can't specifically point out what. And this happened because you are not originally from this planet. You came from the Pleiades, where lying does not exist as a social tool. We, Pleiadians, communicate directly through frequency, through telepathic transmission where distortion is impossible. When we incarnate on Earth, we bring this frequency detector built into our energetic field. You literally cannot resonate with falsehood, even when your human mind has not yet technically identified the lie. This gift of frequency discernment you carry is precisely the reason you were chosen to incarnate at this specific moment. Earth is going through a dimensional separation where souls will evolve to different densities based on their capacity to discern truth from illusion, and you came equipped for this specific task. Since childhood, you were the one who questioned what no one else questioned. When teachers presented official versions of history, you intuitively felt that something was being omitted. When authorities made declarations with absolute conviction, you perceived the unspoken gaps. When everyone around you accepted some cultural narrative as unquestionable truth, you were the only one who asked, "But is it really?" And often this cost you dearly socially. They called you contrary, a denier, a conspiracy theorist, excessively skeptical, a difficult person who complicates everything. They made you feel that your inability to simply accept and move on was a personality defect, lack of maturity, inability to live in functional society. But I, Thalia, tell you now with authority from the Pleiadian Council, what they called your defect is your most precious gift. What they made you feel ashamed of is your dimensional superpower. Your discernment is not a problem. It is exactly the equipment you needed for the mission you agreed to fulfill here. If this revelation of the first seal resonated deeply in your energetic field, if you felt that unmistakable recognition of truth touching your soul, leave your like now. This gesture shows me how many starseeds are ready to receive the next seals. And subscribe to this channel immediately, because the revelations that follow are progressively more intense and you will need each one of them to navigate what is coming. When the second seal is broken, you understand how your own lucidity was transformed into a trap. Thalia, now break the second seal. And this revelation hurts more than the first, because it exposes not only the external control system, but how you yourself were captured after awakening. Listen carefully, Starseed, because this is the most sophisticated deception that the controllers of this dimensional plane created. They know they can no longer keep everyone sleeping. The planetary frequency is rising too much, so they developed a more intelligent strategy. They let you wake up. They allow you to see the manipulation. They even facilitate you finding information that proves you were right about the lies. And then, when you are intoxicated with the validation of having finally awakened, when you are energized by the excitement of finally seeing the truth that others don't see, they imprison you in a completely new way. They addict you to unmasking lies. You became a compulsive consumer of information about what is wrong. You wake up and the first thing you do is check what new atrocity has been revealed, what new scandal has emerged, what new evidence confirms how corrupt the system really is. You spend hours browsing alternative channels, reading articles about conspiracies, watching documentaries about global manipulation, participating in forums where awakened people share the latest discoveries about the dark side of the world. And each piece of information that confirms you were right about the Matrix generates a dopamine discharge in your brain. You feel intelligent, you feel awake, you feel superior to those who still sleep deeply. And this feeling is addictive. But while you are busy incessantly consuming information about darkness, your own frequency is progressively plummeting. You now vibrate at the frequency of what you obsessively study. You are tuned to the channel of corruption, manipulation, control, conspiracy. And the more you consume this type of content, the more the algorithm offers you exactly that. Your entire reality becomes a downward spiral of increasingly disturbing revelations about how dark this world really is. And you convinced yourself that this is being awake, that this is seeking truth, that this is no longer being a sheep of the system. But I, Thalia, tell you the truth that will hurt. You are not more awake than before. You just exchanged one prison for another. Before, you were trapped in the illusion that everything was fine. Now, you are trapped in the illusion that your function is to expose everything that is wrong. Before, you consumed official narrative. Now, you consume alternative narrative with the same compulsion. The prison changed form, but you are still imprisoned. And worse, you are now vibrating at a lower frequency than many you consider asleep, because they at least still experience moments of joy, lightness, hope, while you carry the weight of all the world's darkness on your shoulders, as if it were your personal responsibility to know every detail of every manipulation that exists. And there is something even more insidious happening. You began to define yourself by this. Your identity is now built upon being the person who sees what others don't see. You need the world to continue corrupt to validate your awakened identity. You secretly hope, at an unconscious level, that new dark revelations emerge, because each one confirms your world narrative. You became addicted to apocalyptic drama. And when someone tries to invite you to focus on solutions, on frequency elevation, on creating the new instead of just denouncing the old, you accuse them of being naive, of being in denial, of being Instagram spirituality that ignores hard reality. Starseed, you were deceived. You thought awakening meant seeing all the shadows. But true awakening is seeing the shadows without becoming shadow. It is recognizing manipulation without vibrating at the frequency of manipulation. It is understanding deception without letting deception deceive you in a different way. The controllers of this plane know they can no longer keep you unconscious, so they keep you hyper-conscious of darkness, because this paralyzes you in the same way. A person obsessed with studying the enemy is not building the new world. They are just obsessively documenting the old one as it crumbles. If you want to reconnect deeply with your spiritual essence and learn to maintain your elevated frequency even when you clearly see the shadows, the ebook Pleiadian Code, Awaken Your Star Mission on Earth, is a rare treasure of stellar wisdom capable of completely transforming your journey. In it, you will find the recalibration codes that the Pleiadian Council transmitted specifically for this moment. This edition is available for a limited time only. The link is in the first comment below. When the third seal is broken, you perceive the energetic prison into which thousands of starseeds fell simultaneously. Thalia, now break the third seal before your awakened consciousness. And what is revealed is the precise mechanics of the trap that captured you and so many others. The trap has a name: spiritual hypervigilance, and it operates like this. Once you developed the ability to see manipulation, you can no longer turn it off. You see hidden agenda in every commercial. You see mind control in every entertainment program. You see dark symbolism in every corporate logo. You see emotional manipulation in every political speech. You see propaganda in every viral post. And you are technically correct most of the time. These things really exist. But the problem is not that you are seeing things that don't exist. The problem is that you can no longer see anything else besides that. Your perception was hijacked by the compulsive need to identify constant threats. You developed the spiritual equivalent of PTSD, where you are permanently in survival mode, constantly scanning the environment for dangers, unable to relax because they are always trying to manipulate you. You can no longer watch a movie without analyzing it for programming. You can no longer listen to music without decoding subliminal messages. You can no longer have a simple conversation without evaluating whether the person is awake or asleep. You completely lost the ability to simply exist, to simply experience beauty without suspicion, to simply connect with another human being without consciousness-level judgment. And most tragic, you distanced yourself from people you love because they are not on your level. You broke relationships because the other person is still in the matrix. You isolated yourself in echo bubbles where everyone sees the world as dark as you do, where you mutually reinforce each other in the narrative that you are the only lucid ones on a planet of programmed zombies. You became arrogant in your lucidity. You developed a superiority complex disguised as compassionate concern. You look at people who still laugh easily, who still trust naively, who still have simple hope, and you see them as evolutionarily inferior, as sheep that need to be shepherded by you, the awakened one. But I, Thalia, show you now what you don't want to see. Many of these people you judge as asleep are vibrating at a significantly higher frequency than you. They may not know the technical details of how the control system works. They may not have studied the hidden power structures. They may not be informed about every documented conspiracy. But they still love easily. They still fundamentally trust in goodness. They still experience genuine joy. They still see beauty in simple moments. And frequency, starseed, is not measured by how much you know about darkness. It is measured by how much light you emanate. You fell into the trap of believing that knowledge about shadow equals spiritual evolution. But real evolution is integrating shadow without becoming shadow. It is seeing evil without becoming cynical. It is recognizing manipulation without losing faith in the possibility of genuine goodness. You became so obsessed with not being deceived that you became incapable of surrendering to the human experience that includes vulnerability, trust, innocence. You confused wisdom with cynicism. You confused discernment with paranoid suspicion. You confused being awake with being permanently on maximum alert. And the controllers you study so much know exactly what they are doing when they allow you to access all this disturbing information. They want you exactly where you are, awake enough not to be peaceful, but not evolved enough to be truly free. They want you obsessively consuming content about them, because while you are doing that, you are not creating real alternatives. You are not building self-sustainable communities. You are not developing free technologies. You are not creating art that elevates consciousness. You are not being a beacon of elevated frequency that attracts others to higher dimensions. You are just studying darkness and becoming progressively darker in the process. When the fourth seal is broken, you finally understand what your real mission was and how you deviated from it. I, Thalia, now break the fourth seal. And what is revealed is this. You did not come to this planet to expose every lie. You did not incarnate here at this moment to become an investigative journalist of the Matrix. You did not accept an earthly mission to awaken every sleeping person through logical arguments and presentation of evidence. This never was, and never will be, your primary function. So what is it? Listen well, because this is the truth that the Pleiadian Council transmits through me. You came to be an anchor of Pleiadian frequency in the terrestrial energetic grid during the planet's dimensional ascension process. Let me translate this into practical terms that your human mind can process. Earth is going through a massive vibrational shift. The planet's base frequency is rising. And for this transition to happen as smoothly as possible, specific dimensional anchoring points need to be active throughout the globe. You are one of those points. You are literally a living antenna, a dimensional translator, an incarnated portal through which Pleiadian frequencies of unconditional love, universal compassion, consciousness unity can flow and integrate into the human morphogenetic field. But an antenna doesn't work when it is covered with interference. And you covered your antenna with layers and layers of low-frequency information about conspiracy, control, manipulation, deception. You clogged your receptive channels with rage against the system, with frustration against the sleeping ones, with fear about the future, with despair about the state of the world. And now your antenna is completely blocked. You are no longer receiving or transmitting the frequency you came to anchor. You are just echoing back the same dense frequency that the world already has in abundance. Your mission was never to prove you are right about the Matrix. Your mission is to radiate a frequency so high, so pure, so stable, that it automatically elevates the field around you. Not through words, not through arguments, not through debates or presentation of evidence, but through your simple, calibrated presence. When you are vibrating at your original Pleiadian frequency, people enter your orbit and feel something shift inside them without being able to explain. They feel more hopeful. They feel more connected. They feel possibility where before they only saw limitation. This is frequency anchoring. This is your true function. But this requires that you stop obsessively consuming low-frequency content. It requires that you informational detox. It requires that you prioritize your energetic calibration above your need to be informed about every atrocity. And I know this goes against everything you were conditioned to believe about being responsible and not ignoring what's happening. But I ask you directly, what good is knowing about all the world's darkness if you yourself became dark in the process? What good is being informed about manipulation if you lost your own ability to radiate light? What good is seeing the Matrix clearly if you can no longer remember that something exists beyond it? The paradox you need to integrate urgently is this. You can be conscious of shadow without obsessively focusing on it. You can have discernment about manipulation without making it your central identity. You can be informed without being energetically polluted. The difference is in how you relate to information. Do you use it as a temporary navigation tool, or do you consume it as an addiction that defines who you are? When the fifth seal is broken, you are liberated from the obsession with darkness and reminded of how to truly serve. I, Thalia, now break the fifth seal before you. And with this breaking comes liberation. Hear the instructions transmitted directly from the Pleiadian Council. First, immediate informational fasting. For 7 complete terrestrial days, you will not consume any content about conspiracy, control, manipulation, or any narrative focused on exposing darkness. No alternative news. No documentaries about corruption. No articles about hidden agenda. No forums where people discuss how dark the world is. 7 days of total silence from this specific type of information. And observe what happens. Observe the anxiety that emerges. Observe the fear of missing important information. Observe the compulsion to go back and check. This discomfort will show you how addicted you really were. Second, daily frequency recalibration. Every morning, before touching any electronic device, you will dedicate at least 20 minutes to the practice of tuning into your original Pleiadian frequency. This can be meditation focused on the Pleiades. It can be conscious channeling of stellar energies. It can be simply sitting in silence and remembering who you were before incarnating here, before getting lost in density. The important thing is to establish your base vibration before allowing any external influence to enter your field. Third, conscious consumption filter. Before consuming any information, any content, any news, you will ask 3 questions. Does this information elevate my frequency or diminish it? Does this information empower me to act constructively or just leave me more hopeless? Does this information serve my mission to anchor light or just feeds my addiction to studying darkness? If the answers indicate that the content does not serve your calibration, you consciously choose not to consume, regardless of how important it seems. Fourth, radical energetic responsibility. You will deeply understand that every thought you think, every emotion you sustain, every word you speak contributes to the collective frequency field of this planet. When you ruminate about corruption, you are energetically feeding the field of corruption. When you obsessively focus on manipulation, you are reinforcing the matrix of manipulation. Not through agreement, but through attention. Energy flows where attention goes, and you have been feeding exactly what you say you want to dismantle. Fifth, active creation instead of reactive denunciation. You will redirect all energy you spent consuming content about what is wrong to actively creating what is right. If you worry about contaminated food, plant a garden. If you worry about corrupted education, teach something true to someone. If you worry about manipulated financial system, develop decentralized alternatives. If you worry about lying media, create truthful content. Stop just pointing out problems and become an active part of manifested solutions. This is your liberation, starseed. You no longer need to carry the weight of knowing every darkness that exists. You no longer need to sacrifice yourself energetically on the altar of consciousness about evil. You are free to return to your original function, radiating Pleiadian frequency so intensely that it automatically illuminates shadows without needing to obsessively name them. When the 6th seal is broken, you awaken the sacred discernment that allows navigating information without being contaminated by it. I, Thalia, now break the 6th seal, and what activates within you is what we call Pleiadian sacred discernment. This is not common intellectual discernment. It is not logical analysis. It is not mental skepticism. It is frequency capacity to feel truth directly, without needing to process through thought. It is body wisdom, cellular intelligence, knowledge that comes from direct connection with higher informational fields. Sacred discernment operates through 3 simultaneous centers. The heart center. When you encounter true information aligned with higher frequencies, your heart expands. You feel openness, warmth, loving recognition. When you encounter false or distorted information, your heart contracts. You feel closure, coldness, resistance. Your heart knows before your mind processes. Learn to trust this heart intelligence above convincing mental arguments. The solar center. When information serves your evolution and mission, Your solar plexus lights up with sensation of power, clarity, direction. When information drains your energy or diverts you from the path, your solar plexus tightens with anxiety, confusion, exhaustion. Your personal power center knows what strengthens you and what weakens you. Pay attention to these physical sensations in the center of your body. The crown center. When information comes from elevated dimensional sources connected with your greater purpose, your crown activates with sensation of expansion, cosmic connection, luminous clarity. When information comes from dense sources disconnected from your greater good, your crown closes with sensation of pressure, mental confusion, spiritual disconnection. Your portal of connection with higher planes knows how to distinguish frequencies. When these three centers are aligned in simultaneous positive response, you are before truth that serves your journey. When any of them responds negatively, you are being invited to deeply question what you are consuming. This is frequency navigation. This is Pleiadian sacred discernment operating through human vehicle. And with this discernment activated, you no longer need to consume 47 hours of documentary to discover the truth. You no longer need to read 238 articles to do your own research. You feel truth directly, you know? And this direct wisdom frees you from the compulsion to accumulate infinite external information because you are connected to the source of all information internally. When the seventh seal is broken, everything is completed. The mission is remembered. Power is restored. Frequency is re-established. I, Thalia, now break the seventh and final seal before your consciousness. And with this final breaking, the transmission is complete. You received the complete revelation. You saw the illusion of the informational matrix. You understood the sophisticated deception that captures the awakened. You recognized the trap of hypervigilance. You comprehended your real purpose as frequency anchor. You were liberated from the obsession with darkness. You activated Pleiadian sacred discernment. And now, with the seventh seal broken, you are called to choose consciously and definitively. The choice is simple, but absolutely critical. Will you continue obsessively consuming chaos, draining your vital energy in the process, until you have nothing left to offer for planetary elevation? Or will you immediately recalibrate your frequency, protect your energy as sacred resource, and finally fulfill the mission you accepted before incarnating? There is no judgment about which path you choose. Free will is universal law that we, Pleiadians, never violate. But there are inevitable consequences for each choice. If you choose to remain addicted to studying darkness, you will remain dense, exhausted, frustrated, isolated, and your contribution to planetary ascension will be minimal. If you choose to recalibrate and elevate, you will become a powerful transformative force, radiating light that influences thousands without needing to verbally convince anyone. And hear this clearly. The world does not need more people informed about how corrupt the system is. There are already millions doing this work. The world desperately needs people who maintain stable, elevated frequency amid chaos. It needs light anchors. It needs dimensional beacons. It needs you fulfilling your original Pleiadian function, not the distorted version you adopted when you got lost in informational density. I decree now, with authority transmitted by the Pleiadian Council, may the starseeds awaken to their real mission. May the addiction to darkness be broken by conscious choice. May sacred discernment be activated in every cell. May the Pleiadian frequency be restored and maintained. May the anchoring points stabilize throughout the globe. May the light grid be completed through you. It is revealed. It is transmitted. It is consummated. The choice now is yours, Starseed. Thalia fulfilled the mission of breaking the 7 seals before your consciousness. The transmission was delivered. The codes were activated. What you do with this revelation will determine not only your own journey, but will influence the collective field in ways you cannot measure with human mind. We from the Pleiades observe, we support, we await your conscious choice. So be it. The transmission is complete.